Okay, today's video, we have a good one for you. Performance max audience signals don't really work unless you know how to set them up. I'm going to explain how to set them up right so your performance max campaign actually goes up instead of down. Do it wrong, it's going to go down instead of up. But it's real simple to do this correctly. I have a proven, foolproof method here to set up audience signals so they'll actually help you out instead of, making you lose money. And for that matter, audience signals do have, if you were questioning it, an impact on your results. If you do audience signals and it doesn't seem like it does anything to your results, the reason is because Google's ignoring them because you didn't set it up right and it's not actually improving your results right away. Google will test out the audience signals. If they don't see your performance gets better right away pretty much, then they're going to start not using it anymore and ignoring it. So it's not a targeting setting, it's a suggestion, but it can cut out a lot of the learning that a campaign needs to do to get you to the next level with your results, or from the beginning, just getting you to the point where you're profitable after all your expenses. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to go through what the method is here. And with that, I'll give you some different circumstances here where and how it was used so you can get the same kind of results for your company as well. So that said, Google does take whatever you put in your campaign for an audience signal and use it, yes. Like I mentioned before, Google has put this in there to kind of give Google some information about your market, what kind of works in your market, what doesn't, so they don't have to test out so much stuff. Because with no audience signals, Google's going to test out it's going to try to look at your competitors' campaigns if it can figure out that you're similar to your competitors, and read the text on your site and on your product feed, and make its best guesses on what to do, and then start testing a bunch of stuff. And then when you get a sale, it looks at the data about who the customer is that bought to use that to try to get you the next sale. Really, they can't derive much from somebody who buys once, but when you get somebody who buys, when you get like basically 30 customers, they can compare all the traits between all the customers to each other, see what traits match up, and then try to do more and get you in front of more so on your given budget people that have those traits. That's normally how it works without audience signals. When you add the audience signals, it says, well, this is what we think we should do, but these audience signals, maybe this business owner knows something about his business to where we don't have to, just take our best guess. And that will get us to the end goal of getting you a high ROI from your campaign quicker, or high ROAS if you want to call it that. So ultimately, when you do add an audience signal, by the way, they do heavily weigh what direction your PMAX campaigns are going to go up front. It doesn't seem like it sometimes because when they go to try using your audience signals to narrow down your ads, it doesn't perform right away, so then they just stop using it. So a lot of people don't think they even do anything. But if it does actually if you actually put the correct audience signal, that will improve your results 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x more than what they know about your customers and your market already, it'll start using it heavily. And it'll extract all the value it can out of that. And then eventually when it hits like a plateau, it'll take another 10-20% of your budget and try to test out some other stuff that goes beyond your audience signals. But for the most part, it'll do that so it can still maintain the ROAS target that you have for your account, but still have some testing going on in there so they can give you an option to raise your budget and therefore increase the profit you're getting out of that PMAX campaign. As far as a story to give you, we had obviously in the US, we mainly service clients in the US. In the US, most people don't have savings, so living paycheck to paycheck. We're talking about 60-70% of the population. This is not to be disputed. It's been, announced many different places. So for a lot of you guys, you should just be targeting the top 20% of income in your market, because these people don't have to wait to like get paid before they can buy what you're selling. Because anytime someone's got to wait to get paid, the question is, are they going to remember to come back, or or even buy it all when they get their money? Maybe they spunk it on something else. So what we did in one individual circumstance is we took a PMAX campaign that was running for a couple of years already, and then we switched it to targeting just the top 20% of income demographic, where you could do it under the audience signals of your PMAX campaign. If you know where to look there, it's there. And right away we noticed that the ads simply would not show up unless you're in that top 20%. So in other words, we know for a fact if you add an audience signal in there that works, it will actually only do what you give it. But only because, though, we knew most of the people in that market were buying that were actually in the top 10% and a little bit at the top 20. And I knew this because I faked the location of the computer and made some searches for various locations. If the location wasn't in a high income zip code, these shopping ads that we were running the PMAX campaign for wouldn't show up. We knew that the top 10-20% of income demographics are the only ones buying because we were running search campaigns. And I was able to look under the search campaigns to see what income demographics are actually converting and which ones are not. And basically, there was a lot of the unknown, but of the known income of the users that had a known income, top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40, top 50, and then the bottom 50% of income demographic that they let you see, give you data on, basically 90% plus was buying in the top 10% or top 20%. So when we seen that, it made sense to use that information in our PMAX campaign under the audience signals, so that Google could just start running the shopping campaign or the PMAX campaign to just the top 20% of income demographic. We, by the way, narrowed all the rest of the search campaigns down to the top 20% of income demographic as well. But to do this for the PMAX campaign, it's simple. You just add that audience signal, and because that campaign right away, brought up the performance of that PMAX campaign, it started to, basically, using it like as if it was a targeting option, not a suggestion. Audience signals are supposed to be a suggestion. They say it's a suggestion, but really it's like a targeting switch or targeting option if it actually, it is going to really increase the performance of the campaign quickly, and once it picks that up, it'll run with it, basically. So what I've tried to convey here is, instead of you going into your PMAX campaign and adding a bunch of random audience signals that you think might help the campaign, I recommend setting up a basic search campaign, even if you don't want to run it or whatnot, just so that you could gather some data about what works in your market versus what doesn't work in terms of the income demographic, gender, age demographic. Also, if somebody's been to the competitor site or not. Also, people with certain interests, hobbies, have certain life events, and so forth. Find out ultimately what traits make the people that normally buy from you unique through your search campaigns, using what you know about your customer base already. Because obviously Google will do this on their own with your PMAX campaign if you give them no audience signals. But your goal with the audience signals is to shortcut the process of getting to the big results that you ultimately want. So you know a lot about your customers. So set up your search campaign with the audience targeting that you could do, where you could target any people that have certain traits or tendencies or behaviors separately, and then see how somebody with that trait converts versus without that trait converts, because it'll literally tell you people that like to go to coffee shops, they convert at this rate. versus if they don't like going to coffee shops, they convert at this rate. And what you're looking for ultimately is traits that align with the customers that you normally have, so you could use those as an audience signal. All right? And as a side note, if you don't know much about your customers, or to enhance what you know about your customers, let's just say, I recommend taking your customer list and uploading that to Google, and then go under the audience menu, under audience insights, and see the traits and behaviors that Google has picked up about your customer list. And with that, test those individual things out on your search campaign, see if they convert. What you're ultimately looking for is 80% or more of your customers that you get, converting if they're in that specific category. And if so, using that as an audience signal in your PMAX campaign, because that'll greatly shortcut the time it takes to get the results on your account. The other thing, so that data is free. The other thing we've done for clients in the past is we have taken the customer data and go to data expansion companies that have, essentially, they do what Google does. They can match up your customer list with the information that other companies have on those same customers, and the traits and things things that they buy and so forth as well. And you'll be surprised in finding weird ass shit about your customers. Like we had before, somebody who had a plumbing service itself, and we found out people who like, or normally customers of the plumbing service also like classic cars. And so with that, we could add the classic cars to our search campaign as an audience target, and then just see if we exceed the threshold of 80% of our customers matching the classic car targeting group, our audience group. And if so, use that as a targeting or a audience signal in the PMAX campaign to shortcut our results, like I mentioned before. So with that said, for the most part, the audience signals most of you should be focusing on the most, though, that works universally for most people, is income targeting and then competitor targeting, or should I say for your audience signals. Income targeting, because most, like I said, people that are not in the top 20% of income demographic, they don't have a lot of disposable income, so it's much harder to sell to them. So you should test out a search campaign to find out if that's true, that 80+% or more of your customers are in the top 20% of income demographic, and then use that as your audience signal, and that'll get you much better results with your PMAX campaign basically right away. Shortcut the time for results, as I mentioned, that audience signals do. Furthermore, the competitors. One thing that's almost universally true for all business types out there is if somebody has been researching your competitors' items that they're selling that are directly in competition with the products that you sell, if you tell PMAX to only show your ad to people who have already been researching your competitors' items that directly compete with your items, then that'll generally also very, very well cut out the time it takes to get the results, because if they're interested in your competitor's product, that means they're very likely to buy, much more so than somebody just looking for something you sell itself. Because in most markets, if somebody's just simply looking for, let's say you're looking for power drills on Google, the percentage of people who are searching for that are going to buy a power drill actually is like 20-30%. Somebody looking for a power drill XJR9 DeWalt power drill, the percentage of those people that are going to go on to buy a power drill from at least somebody is like 80-90%. Because your competitor ultimately is spending all this money to, figure out who's serious as a customer, and what you could do is slide in there at the last second before they buy from them, make a slightly better offer than them, and then get the sale, and then you didn't have to spend all that money educating the market to generate customers in your market. You can let your competitors do all that demand generation, if you will, and educating more so of the customer and getting them ready to the point where they would buy and want to buy. So the way that you actually do this that works by far the best is you're going to break up your products into separate asset groups. So you make one asset group for every item you sell. And I know that sounds excessive, but the reason why you do it is because then you can have a audience segment or audience signal, that specifically targets competitor products of each individual product you sell. So ultimately, what you could do is if you sell this product number 1, you could find all the direct competitors of product 1. Let's say you find 3 competitor products that directly compete with this product that you have. We could go create something called a custom intent audience. And you could tell Google anybody who's been researching this product itself, and the product will be like, XJR 912 DeWalt drill. And if they've been researching it, I want to target them. That's what you do with custom intent audiences. And you could create a custom intent audience. So anybody who's investigating that particular competitor's drill, you could ultimately have your PMAX campaign ads only show up for that person if they've been interested in that competitor's drill before. And so what you go ahead and do is you create separate custom intent audiences for each one of the competitor items that compete directly with the products you sell. And then in each asset group, you're going to add as audience signals each custom intent audience that matches a product that directly competes with that individual item you're selling. So all in all, what this does, like I said, is it makes sure that an item's not eligible to show up unless somebody's already been researching one of that item's direct competitors in the market. And so you're getting rid of all the people that are not going to buy and are just kind of thinking about buying, and you're only going after people that are very likely to buy. And that'll work in almost every market out there. I put here also, you should do a feed-only campaign. So along with this here, I always generally run my campaigns with the feed-only system. So feed-only meaning you leave in the ad menu, you're going to leave, or assets menu, you're going to leave the headlines blank, images blank, video blank. And this essentially guarantees that your ads won't show up anywhere but in the shopping placements on Google, not on Google Display, not on YouTube, and so forth, because that's where the money is, if you will. If you want to run a separate campaign that does that, that's something else entirely, which I don't do that at all at our agency. If we're going to run an ad on YouTube, we create a YouTube campaign, not a PMAX campaign, because we have more control over what we're doing. So anyway, this will make sure you only show up on shopping, and that all that waste that Google's trying to, all this inventory on the display network they're trying to shove down your throat, you don't have to accept it. And then furthermore, your ads are only going to show up for somebody that's already a pre-vetted prospect in your market that's looked at one of your direct competitors' items already, indicating that they're going to be likely to buy in the very near future. And you're only spending money on that. And that have the income that matches what 80+% of your customers have already. And so you can actually combine these two and get really good results. I.e., if you know that a customer, you're always in the top 20% of income, and they've looked at one of my direct competitors' products that directly compete with the items I sell, the likelihood that they buy is very, very high. And 80% of customers that buy normally have looked at a competitor's item and have a high income. So basically, you could take an account that wasn't working at all and make it 1,000% ROAS by doing this one simple or two simple things here. So you get what I'm saying here. Though these two things are what will work for most companies, okay? Sometimes what you sell is going to be bought by poor people, and it could go the other way. But 90% of the time, income targeting, it's about selling to the people in the top 20%, because they're the ones with all the disposable income nowadays. Anyway, that's the two that you normally would go with by default. And then from there, like I said, go ahead, try to figure out what you can about your customers, uploading your customer list to Google, going to the Audience Insights menu, seeing what affinity audiences that match them, as well as their interests, that information that Google has on them, and their age, the average age of your customers, the average, the gender of your average gender of your customers, and then anything there that matches up that's true, or anything that matches there, like I said, put it into a search campaign, run it for a while, see where, if any one of those individual data points, 80% of your customers fall into it itself, and then use that as your audience signals in your PMAX campaigns. So in summary here, don't add an audience signal to your PMAX campaign unless it's drawing 80% of your customers. So in other words, if you figure, you know that people who buy, let's say SEO services fall into likes to travel category, then unless all the leads that you get, at least 80% of them fell into that travel category, don't add it as an audience signal to your PMAX campaign. If you start adding random stuff as audience signals to your PMAX campaigns, Google's not going to think the typical stuff that you add to the PMAX campaign should be listened to, or listened to with caution. Your goal should be only adding audience signals to that PMAX campaign that you know for sure already are going to improve the results, so that each one you add, they take it super seriously right away. And use the search campaign to find out individual traits that's almost universally true about your customers, and then use those on your PMAX campaign, and then they're going to get you fantastic results on PMAX, and it's going to cut down the time of getting results, like I said. So ultimately, yes, it'll cut down on the number of times that your ads show, but of the times that you are eligible to show, they're going to start showing you 2, 3, 4, 5 times as much. They're going to show you more often, and then they're going to start showing you multiple products in the shopping space. We have a lot of markets where we'll get shown 5 out of the 8 spots because the campaign's been running for a while, and we gave it good information about the audience signals, about the exact type of people that buy. We matched it up so good and had such good information in there, we're showing up 5 out of the 8 times. So you're not showing up in a lot of places, but when you're showing, you're really showing. So effectively, you can make just as much sales as you had before, but at a 3 to 5 times higher ROI, or you're making 3 times as many sales at the same ROI, if you will. But you could look at it kind of either way, so to say. But it'll get you more exposure in the spots that have more sales, or have a higher potential for converting, if you will, so that you end up with more sales and you're going to get a better ROI at the same time, typically. Anyway, with all that said, that's pretty much the audience signals method that I use to routinely get results with PMAX campaigns. Something very unorthodox you're going to hear otherwise, but I can tell you for a fact it works. We guarantee results at our agency to our clients. We're the only agency that does that. And that should tell you something about the strategies that I give you here on this video and also on this channel. So I'll wrap it up with that. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate a like, and I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe, as all the information you need to make millions of dollars a year with online ads is on this channel, as I manage about 50 different client accounts at any given time. With that, I give you all the information of stuff that we know works and can get guaranteed results for our clients' accounts. Most of the information you find on YouTube is YouTubers that don't have an ad agency that they have, or they have managed a couple campaigns. I can manage so many campaigns, by the way, because I actually have a team of people that work underneath me, and it works kind of like a law firm, where the lawyer has a team of paralegals and stuff, and so I could bring, you know, insane value to a client, and I could also guarantee the results given I have enough experience to know what works and what doesn't work before I even begin a campaign. And I give it to you guys for free on this channel, for what I charge a lot of money for, essentially. It's all everything you need to make a lot of money is on this channel. You just got to do it. If you like the channel, I also got a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, where you can find other information from myself, which is just as good or better. If you have any questions about anything I covered here today, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days' time. Ask me any question, by the way, you would like about PPC or online ads. I'd be happy to try to answer it for you. As a last note, if you're looking for the best person to hire to help you strategize and manage your ad accounts, I'd like to be able to hear from you. I can look at your stuff and estimate how much sales results I can get on your campaigns, and also what we would be able to get for you before taking any fees at our agency at all from you. The way it typically works is we will guarantee a certain minimum amount to you up front, and then from there we'll get paid after that for, you know, we'll have a minimum engagement after that. But we got to get you enough sales to cover the cost of our fees up front. Otherwise we just say, hey, it's not worth the time, we'll work with somebody else. But if you have a great product or service that looks like it has a lot of potential, I'd love to market it, because the skills that I have with your good product or service, we could take your sales to the moon. So reach out to me at guaranteeppc.com if you're interested in that. I'd be happy to hear from you. And I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next one, where we have another great strategy for you then. See you there.